the Watcher. I first saw it when I was 7, a pale, spindly shape in the bathroom mirror that vanished the moment I turned around. 10 years later, it is still here. Yesterday, I saw it in the reflection of my darkened TV. It was standing directly behind me, its long, skeletal fingers just inches from my neck. It doesn't want to kill me. It's just waiting for me to finally accept that I have never ever been alone in this room. Designation: Specimen 01-W, the Watcher. Dimensions: height, 2.5 meters. Weight, 40 kilograms. Anatomy: the entity has a skeletal frame covered in translucent, parchment-like skin. It lacks eyelids, and its massive pupils are fixed in a permanent state of dilation to track movement in the dark. Extra joints in its limbs allow it to fold into impossibly small spaces, like wall cavities or corners. Behavior: a psychological predator that feeds on the bioelectrical energy of human paranoia. It occupies the subject's blind spots and is only visible through reflections or peripheral vision. It remains motionless when observed, repositioning itself only during the microseconds when the subject blinks. The Hollow Man. I saw my neighbor, Mr. Henderson, standing by his mailbox yesterday. I waved and said hello, but he didn't react for a full 3 seconds. When he finally turned, his head moved with a stiff, mechanical jerk. He tried to smile, but his eyes remained wide and vacant. His voice sounded like a low-quality recording played from the bottom of a well. As he walked away, I noticed his chest didn't move at all. No breath, no heartbeat. He wasn't a man anymore. He was just a suit of skin being worn by something empty. Designation: Specimen 02-H, the Hollow Man. Dimensions: height, 1.8 meters. Weight, 50 kilograms, significantly lighter than a human of the same size. Anatomy: externally, it is a near-perfect biological duplicate of a human, but internally, it is entirely devoid of organs, muscle mass, or skeletal system. Its skin is a thick, flexible membrane that maintains its shape through internal air pressure. It lacks a respiratory system and a pulse. The crawling thing? I thought it was just a rat in the attic. Then I saw the ceiling joist flex under a heavy, shifting weight. A pale, twitching limb reached down from a gap in the drywall no wider than a coin. It didn't crawl. It glided with a sickening, stuttering motion that defied physics. By the time I fumbled for the light switch, it already folded itself back into the ventilation duct, leaving only a faint smell of wet copper behind. It's still up there right now, waiting for the rest of the house to go quiet. Designation: Specimen 03-C, the Crawling Thing. Dimensions: length, 2.2 meters. Weight, 60 kilograms. Anatomy: the entity possesses a specialized skeletal structure comprised of hyper-flexible cartilage rather than rigid bone. This allows for extreme body compression, enabling it to pass through gaps as small as 5 centimeters in diameter. Its skin is translucent and secretes a thick, lubricating mucus that eliminates friction against industrial surfaces. The Whisperer. I was home alone when I heard my mother call my name from the kitchen. "Can you help me with these bags?" she asked. I stood up to go, but then my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from my mom. "Just leaving work. Be home in 20 minutes. The house went silent. Then, from the dark kitchen, the same voice spoke again, but this time it was distorted, like a corrupted audio file. "Can you help me?" it repeated over and over, getting faster and louder until it sounded like a jagged metallic scream. Designation: Specimen 04-W, the Whisperer. Dimensions: height, estimated 1.9 meters. Weight, negligible, possibly hollow. Anatomy: the Whisperer lacks traditional vocal cords. Instead, its chest cavity contains a series of vibrating organic membranes that can replicate any sound frequency with 99% accuracy. It has no visible eyes or nose, only a large porous opening where a mouth should be, which acts as a highly sensitive microphone. Its body is covered in a soot-like substance that absorbs light and sound, making it nearly invisible in shadows. The Stitched One. I found an old photo of my grandfather's workshop. In the background, leaning against a workbench, was a figure made of mismatched limbs and gray, leathery skin. I thought it was a mannequin until I saw the same shape in my backyard last night. I heard a heavy, uneven dragging sound on the porch. When I looked through the peephole, I saw a hand, but it had 7 fingers, all sewn together with thick black wire. It wasn't just standing there. It was measuring the size of my door, looking for a piece of me to complete itself. Designation: Specimen 05-S, the stitched one. Dimensions: height 2.1 meters, weight 110 kilograms. Anatomy: a composite organism constructed from various biological sources. The body is held together by high tensile metallic threading and a thick black ichor that acts as both an adhesive and artificial blood. Each limb appears to belong to a different host, leading to uncoordinated but incredibly powerful movement. It lacks internal organs, functioning instead through a central bioelectric core located in the thoracic cavity. The smiling figure. I saw him at the end of the subway platform at 2 a.m. He stood perfectly still, his face stretched into a wide, toothy grin that didn't change even as the train roared past. I started walking faster, but every time I looked back, he was exactly the same distance away, his eyes locked onto mine. He wasn't running. He was gliding with a stiff, rhythmic stride. He isn't happy, and that look isn't a smile of joy. It's the expression a predator wears when it knows the prey has nowhere left to run. Designation: Specimen 06-F, the smiling figure. Dimensions: height 1.85 meters, weight 75 kilograms. Anatomy: the entity's facial structure is its most distinct feature. The masseter and zygomatic muscles are locked in a state of permanent, extreme contraction, preventing any change in expression. Its skin is abnormally pale and lacks pores or sweat glands. Biological analysis shows that its eyes do not possess eyelids, and the corneas are covered by a thin, transparent membrane that protects them from drying out. The shadow lurker. I was walking home under the flickering streetlights when I noticed my shadow was wrong. It didn't follow my feet. It lagged behind, stretching toward the dark mouth of an alleyway. When I stopped, the shadow kept moving. It peeled itself off the pavement, rising like a sheet of black glass. I ran into my house and locked the door, but as the light from the hallway hit me, I realized the corner of my living room wasn't just dark, it was breathing. Designation: Specimen 07-L, the shadow lurker. Dimensions: variable. It can compress into a 2-dimensional state or expand into a 3-dimensional form reaching 2.2 meters. Anatomy: this entity is composed of light negative matter that actively absorbs photons, creating a void effect. It has no discernible skeletal structure or internal organs. Instead, it exists as a cohesive semi-liquid shadow. It lacks eyes, sensing its environment through thermal vibrations and the displacement of light particles. The broken child. I was driving home late when I saw a small figure sitting on a playground swing in the middle of a storm. I stopped, thinking a child was lost. As I approached, the child stood up, but its knees bent backward with a loud, sickening crack. Its head rotated a full 180 degrees to face me, revealing eyes that were far too large for its small face. It didn't speak or cry. It just tilted its head and began to sprint toward me with a jerky, doll-like gait. I barely made it back to my car, and now, every morning, I find tiny, muddy handprints on the outside of my bedroom window. Designation: Specimen 08-B, the broken child. Dimensions: height 1.2 meters, weight 25 kilograms. Anatomy: the entity possesses a fragmented skeletal structure where the bones are not fused, but held together by high-tension organic filaments. This allows it to rotate its limbs and torso in any direction without injury. Its exterior is covered in a pale, cold membrane that mimics human skin but lacks pores, warmth, and a pulse. It has an oversized cranium to accommodate a highly developed sensory organ that detects the heartbeats of nearby mammals. The faceless one. I woke up to the sound of someone standing in my bedroom. In the pale moonlight, I saw a tall man wearing a suit, perfectly still at the foot of my bed. I opened my mouth to scream, but the words died in my throat, where his eyes, nose, and mouth should have been. There was only smooth, blank skin. He didn't have a face, yet I could feel his gaze burning into me with a cold, absolute intensity. He leaned down, his smooth head inches from mine, and I realized the silence wasn't just in the room, it was coming from him. He doesn't breathe, he doesn't speak, He just exists to remind you that some things can see you without eyes. Designation: Specimen 09-F, the Faceless One. Dimensions: height 2.1 meters, weight 82 kilograms. Anatomy: the entity lacks all external sensory organs on the head. The cranium is covered by a seamless layer of reinforced leather-like skin. Despite the absence of eyes, its brain contains a specialized biological sonar and electromagnetic sensors located just beneath the surface of the frontal bone. Its body is extremely lean, with elongated fingers that possess hypersensitive nerve endings, capable of detecting vibrations in the air and through solid surfaces. The door entity. I always check the basement door before bed. Last night it was open just an inch. I closed it, locked the deadbolt, and walked into the kitchen. Seconds later, I heard a distinct click. I turned around, and the door was cracked open again. A single, long, multi-jointed finger was hooked around the edge of the wood, slowly pulling it wider. It wasn't trying to come into the room. It was waiting for me to walk through the gap. It knows that once I cross that threshold, I'm in its world, and the door behind me will never lead home again. Designation: Specimen 10-D, the Threshold Entity. Dimensions: height 2.0 meters, weight 55 kilograms. Anatomy: this entity possesses a flattened, highly compressed skeletal structure, allowing it to hide in the narrow spaces between doors and their frames. Its skin is a matte, non-reflective gray that mimics the shadows of industrial materials. Its primary limbs are equipped with serrated, hook-like protrusions, used to anchor itself to doorways. It lacks eyes, instead utilizing a hypersensitive lateral line system that detects changes in air pressure when a door is moved.